Okay, welcome everybody to our Team Empower call. It's so fun to have you guys here. This is one of the first calls I've done without Allie, so it feels kind of like weird. It feels like I'm missing my right arm. But she is at camp right now with some of the youth from our church. So she is in the mountains at the moment. So we want to welcome, first of all, Cindy, that she is our newest coach on Team Empower. This is our first team call. We're super excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Her daughter's wedding. And so she just decided just to throw coaching onto her plate too, you know.
Absolutely. Why not, right?
So we're excited to have you here. I'm happy that Katie's here, that you're finally feeling better and that you're not like coughing up a lung. And props to Leanne. She's gone live every day on her page today. She's been like super consistent and stepped way outside of her comfort zone and gone live. So you guys are like rocking it. So just by way of announcement, let me pull these up so I make sure. Summit is in Indiana in June. Tickets are still on sale right now. They have gone up to $175, but we do have, they are refundable and they are transferable. We do have 4 hotel rooms that we booked. Each hotel room can hold 4 people, possibly 5. So we do have rooms available that we're looking forward to filling. We do have several people on our team that have already purchased their tickets, so know that that is there. Where's my Beachbody stuff? Let's see. Shift Shop is in full swing. Chris Downing will be going live on the Coach 411 Facebook page tomorrow, so if you want to see him live. And they now have a new credit card update self-service form, which is like so nice because you don't have to now talk to like customer service to get that changed. And then I also did just recently get a call from Carl Deichler. It was just a message, but we'll just pretend that I talked to Carl. And he said that with Team Cup coming up, if you're registered for Team Cup by Monday and you hit Success Club by August 20th, he will be sending out some tank top, something or other. So it's pretty sweet, like another prize. I'll take it. So anyway, those are the announcements that I know of at the current moment. Okay, so tonight what I wanted to talk about is just some of the things that I wish that I would have known and done differently when I was a new coach. Like just some things that I look back now and think, oh, that would have been helpful. So I've been making a list today. Oh, dang it, that I just closed. Okay, so I've been making a list today, and feel free to like jump in, stop me, ask any questions, add your input, whatever is on your mind. Katie's had a lot of really great like aha insight moments that she's been sharing in Team Empower that have been great. So feel free to share or ask any questions. So one of the first things that I wish that I would have done is I wish I would have created an email list. Now, I know, like, I've heard this said like 15 billion times, but I was always like, yeah, whatever. I have my back office. Like, I have people's email addresses in there. Like, what am I going to do with an email address? Like, I do everything on Facebook. And so I really discounted it and really, like, glossed over it. But if you sit back and think about it, like, we're building businesses right here. And we don't want our business to be completely dependent on Facebook. Like Facebook could close tomorrow, or they could shut down your page, or they could lock you out of your profile page, and you would have lost your complete customer base. And so what I wish I would have done is not just relied on Beachbody to hold on to email addresses of people that signed up with me, but I wish that I, like, in messaging and in contacting people, I would have said, you know, I really want to keep you up to date with everything that's going on. Can I get your email address? And then stuck it into my database so that when I decided to send out a newsletter, or really even if I never used it, I would at least have a way to contact people should something in Facebook fall apart. And if I would have done that from the beginning, I would have like over 60,000 email addresses right now. And I don't have any of them, you know? So like I have these followers, but I don't have a way to really get in touch with them outside of hoping that they see what I post on Facebook. So that is one of the first things I wish I would have done, is created an email list. So it is super important. It will be the basis of your business, even if you don't end up using it. Let's see. The next thing that I wish I would have done that Katie did talk about in Team Empower is I wish I would have tracked my contacts, where they came from, who they are, where I'm at in the conversation with them, because adding friends to your list can be relatively easy, especially through Facebook, finding people like who you have friends in common with and that kind of stuff. But I used to just like click add, and I'd add like 10 people in a day. And then all of a sudden my newsfeed was full of people that I didn't know who they were. And I didn't know where they had come from. I didn't have any connection to them. It really was kind of pointless to add them to my feed. So now what I like to do is I like to go in and find people in Facebook. Like I'll go to one of my friends and I'll look at their friends list and I'll find people that we kind of like have people in common with, and which is really pretty easy. Click on, on them, see if there's somebody that you would like talk to at the park, or that you would like be friends with anyway. Add them as a friend, and once they accept your friend request, what I like to do, I've done it both ways. I've done it with pen and paper. I've also done it on my computer. Let me grab my folder. I'll show you how I do it with pen and paper. Hold on. Okay, so what I've done in my folder, if I can find it. Yep, here we go. Okay, ooh, it's falling apart. Okay, so what I did when I was using pen and paper is I went and got like graph paper, okay? And what I would do is I would write their name, and then I had this little like key up here. So M in the little box was that I messaged them. A C is if I commented on their page. I check if I used them to find common friends. And then I tracked where I was at in the inviting process. One is I invited them to a conversation. Basically, I messaged them. 2 is I was getting to know them. 3, I shared like a challenge group with them. 4, or what it was. 4, it was I invited them. 5, I followed up with them. And CE is if they came through a clean eating group. Okay, so that's kind of like how I tracked my people for a long time. Let's see if I can. So like down here, just kind of like keeping up with where I was at with them in the conversation. So that was helpful. However, what I've currently come to find is that a lot of times I don't have my folder with me. And so I don't always like write their name down or keep track of them, and then they get lost. So what I've started doing is it's basically the same idea, but I just do it in Excel now. So I open up an Excel little document, and I have their name that I just copy and paste from their profile page. I have where they came from, because there's some people that I've like friend requested from Strong Fit Mamas. There's some from friends. So I just kind of put a little note in there as to where they came from. I then have a section for just notes, like what I've done. So in one, it says she invited me to her page. She's a social worker. She's from Canada. Like I just kind of like write little notes in there. I have a section for their email address, and then a little column for if they're a possible coach or challenger. Just so I kind of have an idea of like what I can invite them to, just kind of like where my brain was at in our conversation. And the thing that is nice about Excel is that you can search it. Like you can, instead of like going through your paper trying to find who's who, you can just search and find their name. So that was something that I totally missed the boat on. Okay. Let's see. Another thing that I wish I would have done from the beginning, I also talked to Katie about this the other day, is I wish I would have turned off all my notifications on my phone, because my phone was dinging like every Facebook message, every comment, every Instagram, something or other, every Pinterest, like it was dinging and messaging me like crazy. And I had all these little messages up. Like I'm the type of person that if I have, like, you know how some people have like their mailbox on their phone and it says they have like 4,000 emails, like that stresses me out. I'm like, just open them and look at them, like I can't have little numbers there or else it's like, do something. So I turned off all my Facebook notifications, all my Pinterest, all my mean, any type of push notification on my phone, I turned it off. So that when I sat down for my business hours, I could put my time and my focus where I wanted it first, instead of being distracted by all these little dings and everything, because then you see somebody message you and you're like, oh, I wonder what they said. And so you like read it really fast, and then you're like thinking about it all day. And so just turn it off. Just turn it off. So I missed the boat on that one for a long time. Okay. Another thing that I wish I would have done, this will come more so once you hit Emerald, but once you hit Emerald, you get free customers from Beachbody. They will send you free customers every week. People who have purchased something, who have ordered like a Beachbody on-demand trial, those kind of things. I, up until just recently, didn't do anything. Like every once in a while, I would send an email to a contact, but I'd never hear back. So I was just like, whatever, dumb. So I now just kind of have a template of what I send to these people. And so now every time I have a notification that I have a new customer, I'll just send them like, hi, I'm Lacey. I'm your new coach. Like, I'm here to help you in any way that you need, that kind of spiel. I can post that if you guys want to see what it looks like too. And so I wish that I would have reached out and messaged them, because a lot of those people are already wanting help. Like, they're already interested. And so it's our job to not only help them with a group and to get the most out of whatever they ordered, but to then help them continue to find the next step and the next step and the next step, which could possibly be Shakeology. It could be Beachbody On Demand. It could be coaching. We can help them find kind of the next step for them. Let's see. Okay. Another thing that I wish I would have done that, kind of hard to explain because I haven't done this yet. I have been going through some training by Sarah Dan, who is not a Beachbody coach, but she is like a marketer, and she helps basically Beachbody coaches market their business. And she has a very different approach than Beachbody, and I kind of like it, but I feel like I'm kind of in a spot where I don't know if I can quite implement it yet. But if I was to start all over again, this is what I would do. I would do what she explains, and her system is too long to explain right now. But basically, in a nutshell, what I would suggest is every time, like instead of opening and closing a new group every time that you have like a clean eating challenge or a free group, because you'll open it, and then if somebody doesn't roll over into a challenge group, then you close it and they're kind of lost. I would suggest opening a community, basically a group that never closes. Okay. You would still have it be closed so that you can, like sift through people and make sure that they belong in there. But that is where all of your free challenges will go down. That's where you'll put your content. That's where you'll show up to go live. You can still use your like page if you've started it to run ads to direct people to your community. But your community will allow people to interact, will allow people to connect, because it's as we narrow down and focus in on finding our avatar or our person that we really connect with, we will start to attract like-minded people. And so all of those people within the community can still connect and it's kind of like the grad group, where everybody's there to help each other. But it's kind of your captive audience, and you'll also be able to get better traction within this community. You also won't lose people, because a lot of times, your free clean eating people will come back around 3-4 months down the road. But if you're not constantly in front of them, then they'll kind of forget about you. So that's kind of like a really vague explanation of it. So if you want to talk more about it, let me know and we can. But basically, instead of opening a group, closing a group, opening a group, closing a group, just open one group it's called your community. You can name it whatever you want. And that is where you direct everybody that wants to follow you. And that's where you will then show up and do your free groups. or your free challenges. I would suggest not calling things groups because then people get confused, like, is it free? Is it not free? That's why Allie and I have started calling our things workshops, because that kind of lends more to like, oh, it's not free kind of a thing. Or calling it like our free stuff, we'll call it a free challenge rather than a free group. But that's just kind of a technicality. So anyway, those were just kind of like some little random things that were in my brain that I wish that I would have done differently in the end. It's just kind of one of those little tiny millimeter adjustment that could have made things a little bit easier down the road. Do you guys have any questions about that before I look at the questions that Rachel asked? And I think you guys wanted to hear about, like, with business hours and stuff. Do you have any questions? Leanne, you're pondering.
Huh?
You look like you're pondering.
I am. I'm just looking at everything I've been writing down. The whole opening and then not closing. I know, like, Kelly, probably a couple of months ago when you and I were talking on the phone, you kind of brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something I want to visit more about and kind of look more into, because I don't think I'm quite wrapping my mind around exactly what it would do. Like, especially when you say, instead of doing, like, almost kind of phasing away from the like page.
Yes and no. Like, you'll still have your like page simply because you can run ads.
Right.
And ads are important to get people, to get eyes on your stuff. However, everything that you post in your community, you can basically copy and paste on your like page.
Okay, so it could be both.
Yeah, so you can.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Is it overkill, do you feel like, to have to essentially post the same thing on your personal page and then to have a like page that you posted on and then post the same thing in a group? Like,
it's a good question, and my personal opinion is no, simply because of, like, Facebook algorithms. Most of the time, people are not going to see any of your stuff. And so if they're following you on 3 platforms, that gives you the opportunity to get them in front of, like, to get in front of their face at least one time. And if they see it more than once, they're not going to realize, because they're going to have their phone and they're scrolling. And then if they see your post, like, again, they're like, oh, okay. You know, like, people see so much, like, there's so much visual stimulation that a lot of times people don't even realize that they're seeing it a second time. And if they are seeing it a second time, it will make them stop and actually read it. So my opinion is no. I don't think that I would, like, copy and paste it all, like, at the same time. You know, like, I would put my stuff on my like page or in my community, and then the next day, that's what I would use for my like page, kind of a thing. So, like, I'd be creating all my new content for my community, and then the next day copy and paste to my like page to keep it active, and just to kind of keep directing people to the community, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of confusing.
No, I've been thinking a lot about, like, starting my like page, and it's been, like, overwhelming because I haven't done any training, like outside of, I haven't done any training. Like, I don't know anything really about how to get people to that like page. So I'm like, oh, I'm all about this community idea. Like, I'm super excited. That's totally what I'm going to do for this next free group that I'll be doing in August. So
I think
it feels easier than a like page.
Yeah, I think it would be a really good start for you, especially since you haven't started your like page yet. I would start with the community and just, like, all your posts that you post on your personal profile page, like, invite people. Say, like, remember, like, my community is open. But remember, like, as you're posting, that you are solving problems. Like, what your goal is to help people see that you can solve their problem. And so that's why they're going to want to follow you and why they're going to want to join you. And so that's our goal, is to help people see that you have a solution to their problem, if that makes sense. And so as they are seeing those solutions, those are the type of people that you're wanting to bring in. I know a lot of times, like, for, like, our clean eating challenges, people are like, oh, it's free and I get a free menu. And yeah, we get a lot of people, but they weren't the right people. they just wanted something free, right? They weren't necessarily the people that we were like our challenges were geared towards. And so creating this free content for people, make sure that you are gearing it to the people that you can then help, if that makes sense. Yep. So that's why in our, like creating our free groups, we're wanting to focus on like shifting your mindset and confidence and like that kind of stuff. And we're trying to veer away from like a crock pot group, because that's not really our clientele. That's not really our thing. And so that's why we're trying to come up with that type of stuff and veer away from like your standard. Now they do have that clean eating thing that they put together through Beachbody. I don't know how it fits into this idea of a community. It may not. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still kind of new with that one. But I think a community might be a really great direction for you. That was a long way of saying that. So, okay. Let me look at what Rachel asked. Hold on. Okay, how do you organize your reconnects and invites? Okay, I already kind of showed you that. Do you guys have any other questions about organizing that? Did we kind of cover that? We're good. Okay, how hard do you try and make challengers involved in your groups? What do you do to help them feel supported without giving tons of your own time to them with no response? That's a great question. So I'm going to ask Leanne. Leanne, what's your opinion on this? What do you do?
For the first few groups I ran, I beat myself up. I'm like, I'm a failure. I'm not doing this right. What am I doing wrong? Why won't they participate? I mean, that was the first couple of groups. But then like the last couple, I actually ran, I think it was Melissa that kind of gave me the idea. In fact, I know it was Melissa that kind of gave me the idea of like doing a giveaway to kind of entice them to participate a little bit more. And it was something small. I mean, like I have prints that say, she is strong. And so that, like the group before last, that's what I did. I gave that away at the end. But actually what I'm slowly starting to figure out is you're going to have quiet ones. And I know this is what everybody has said when I've asked, and it's like, whatever. Cause I've participated in groups where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm the quiet one and I'm posting every day. And so I guess it's kind of like this group I have right now, there's 9 people in it, including myself. There are 4 that participate every day, all the time, and are totally rocking it. So that's about 40%. The math teacher should be able to figure that easier than she just did. But so I'm torn. This week, that's like where my whole life thing came from. Like I told you, I decided to spend the whole week on gratitude. And every day everybody's posting about gratitude, and that seems to be getting up the activity a little bit more. I'm actually struggling right now more with getting people involved in my graduate group and my lifers group. I call it a lifers group because it's a life thing, and so I'm struggling more in that area. But this group that I have running right now, we're in week 3. I actually have not even said anything about doing a giveaway at the end. And I saw a cool idea that I'm going to implement with this group. In fact, I ordered cards today from Amazon, is sending them all a little card at the end. Just, thanks, you're awesome, keep it up, just, I don't know what I'm going to say in it, but something. So I know that probably doesn't really answer the question of how to keep them involved. And I don't remember exactly who told me, but, the people that want it are going to be there. And the people that aren't. And we can't force them. And I don't remember where I read this the other day, but it might have been on team. I think it might have been one of the team calls, the national wake up calls I was listening to. You can never say the right thing. No, this was Allie. Was it Allie that said this, Lacey? You can never say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. If it's their time, it's their time. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, because I struggle with it too.
No, I love that. And I love the idea of the handwritten note. Like that's just like personal, and I love that. That's such a great idea. So my take on this is very much like Leon. You're going to have people, you're going to have a whole spectrum of people in your group. Some that are like super gung-ho and dedicated, some that are not. But it's not our responsibility to do it for them. It's our responsibility to encourage them and to help them and meet them where they're at. But if they're not ready, then there's really nothing that we can do about it. What I like to do is if somebody's been quiet and I haven't heard from them, I will, I always try and send my challengers a personal message throughout the group, just to kind of like develop that personal relationship behind the scenes. And if they haven't been quiet, or if they haven't been participating, I'll ask them, like, I haven't seen you in the group, like, what's going on? How are you doing? Like, remember, it's not about perfection. And a lot of times if they do respond, it's that they're feeling like, they're not as good as somebody else, or they fall off the wagon, or whatever it may be. And so that's a good time to be able to reconnect with them. But if they don't respond, then I'll tag them in the group too and just say, hey, we're missing you. And like, so other challengers will also respond. But if there's no response, there's really not anything you can do. Like, it's not our responsibility to go to their house and push play. Like, it's our responsibility to show up every day and to be an example and to be offer some sort of encouragement, but we can't push play for them. And that's not our job, because they need to take that journey. It would be like if you constantly were doing everything for your kids, they would never learn how to do it themselves. But sometimes it's the same with these challengers. There's only so much that we can do until they need to meet us in the middle too. So hopefully that's helpful. Does anybody else have any thoughts about that?
Well, that's what I do too, is I send them a personal message. I try to send them a personal message. I sent one today and I'm like, hey, I so miss you. Where are you? And she sent back a message and was like, oh, sorry, I got a message. And she was like, I've missed it too. I've just been traveling. I can't wait to get back in on Monday. So I'm like, okay, well, she's following and she's seeing. She's just not posting. And then there was one friend, she's in a group now, and this is her second group in a row she's participated, or actually third group in a row she's participated in. The first one, she approached me at a baseball game. Hey, I hear you do this. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell you about it. Yes, yes, yes. So I put her in, and she did not purchase anything that month. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Well, after week 2, I guess it was, I had not heard a word from her, nothing. So I just went in and removed her, thinking, well, she's not following along. I got a personal message within 30 minutes of, oh my gosh, why did you take me out? I love the encouragement. So they may not be participating, but that told me right there, they're following. And I'm finding more and more when I'm messaging people and saying, hey, thanks for liking my page. Or the other day I had those 2 people that showed up on my live and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You don't know how much that means to me to help boost my confidence and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh my gosh, I love seeing your posts. I'm like, just like them, please. So they're watching. I mean, that's really true that they are watching. It's just, we want to see. We want to know it.
Totally. For sure.
So this is my second challenge group that I'm doing right now. Excuse me. And in my first one, I was super excited, obviously, but I was so excited to like share all these like YouTube videos that I'd found that were like, like 5 or 10 minute videos. They're motivational and I had found so inspiring, but hardly anyone ever commented on them. I doubt anyone even like looked at the videos that I was posting. And so this time, as I was preparing to run this group, I spent a lot more time, like, obviously I've been doing the personal development. So instead of just like saying, look, this is what this person said, or posting a video that I feel like is more eloquent than I can be, I'm doing videos and I'm saying it. So the words are coming from me, from their friend, and like the response has been amazing this week. That's awesome. Well, like yesterday, one of the posts had 17 comments, and there's only 6 of us, including me. So it's just to have it just be more personal and from your mouth. So far has been making a big difference for me.
Totally. Yes. I love that insight. I totally agree. There's really is something about it being more personal that will make people watch. Like, I remember when my coach would post like old videos of herself, you know, kind of a thing. I would be like, I don't have time to watch that. But if she went live and was like speaking from her heart, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll watch it. So I love that you're doing that, Katie. That's awesome. Okay, let's see here. Running groups with a success partner. Do you schedule your schedule time weekly to talk to each other about things, or just as you see fit? Do you take turns posting in groups? What tips do you have for making working together successful? Okay, so I have kind of a lot of mixed feelings about this. So, you know, Allie and I talk to each other all the time because we talk about everything, you know, everything, since we're sisters. So we talk to each other all the time. However, like, we're not your typical success partnership. And unfortunately are kind of like a bad example of how to run things, since we do everything together. I tell everybody, like, even our coach told us not to do it, like not to run things together, that it wouldn't work. And it has worked for us, but I can see how it could go so wrong and like so bad. So I don't suggest doing it the way that we do it. And I think success partners are great. It's nice to have somebody, like a friend, that you connect with and that you can like run things with sometimes if you want. However, Allie and I would both agree on this. I feel like us doing, like, being success partners and running groups together has helped us from quitting, because we didn't really have like a support of a coach, but it's also held us back a lot. Like, it's, I think, really slowed down the process, just because we're so comfortable with each other. You know, it was just like, oh, you didn't get that done? It's okay. You know, like, we'll try again later, or, oh yeah, we should do this, but then never do it. And so it kind of created like a false comfort zone. And I think I saw this firsthand actually with Leanne. When, I mean, she had an amazing success partner, like they were like soul sisters, just so good for each other, loved them together. And then when her success partner decided to not run the business anymore, it really pushed Leanne outside of her comfort zone and like gave her wings like that. You know, it was like go time. You know? And yeah, like it like yanked out that security net, and it was like, you're either in or you're out. Whereas if that success partner would have stayed there, it would have been pretty like just here instead of here. So I think success partners are awesome. However, I would suggest not necessarily running groups with people. Maybe like co-coaching a group here and there, like if you wanted the group bigger, or if you had a good idea, if you wanted to collaborate on something, because you're just naturally going to build friendships within the team. You're going to naturally gravitate towards people within the team that you just jive with, and you just get each other. And so there's no real like rule as to like how often you talk to somebody, if you call someone on the phone, if you're like, hey, let's like create a group together, if you know, there's no really rule to it. So I would say like kind of steer clear of running groups together. Like there are a few on a team that do it and it works really well. But I would say 9 times out of 10, it kind of is not always the most beneficial. It was what I would say. Leanne, did you have something to say?
Well, it helped me in the beginning, because we ran those, I ran one group by myself and I had no clue what I was doing. None. The second one that I ran with her, I felt a little bit better, because I was seeing what she was doing firsthand. I mean, I had seen what you and Allie did already, and so I kind of knew what what I wanted and where I wanted to go. And so I think we ran maybe one together, and then the second one, she kind of died off towards the end. But it was literally, like I told you, like you just said, it was at that point I was either gonna do it or not, and I knew that I had this fire. So, and I knew what I wanted, and I knew where I didn't want to go. So it was like pick up the pieces, or not really pick up the pieces, but it was decision time. It was go time. And it was in the middle of one of the worst times of the year for me. But, so success partners definitely can be crucial. And I miss her like crazy. Like, I don't even hear back from her hardly anymore, because there was that instant connection. But, there's a time and a season.
Totally. Yeah.
So
And I think it's good to reach out to your coach, like for your first few groups, or maybe just your first group, to say, hey, like, can you help me run this? Kind of thing. So like Cindy, as you're getting ready to like start in with your new group, like I'll be there to help you, like to help you run your first group. So it's not just like throw it to the wolves, like figure it out. We do have, Rachel asked a little bit about like the posts and stuff. We do have the posts that we have used. What we do is we have our assistant, who's our sister-in-law, buffer them for us. But it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like it's nice because they show up on time every day. Everybody knows what's happening the next day. But it's also bad because it allows you to kind of like check out a little bit, like to kind of like go on autopilot. So it's kind of double-edged sword. I'm kind of leaning more towards like, let's just go live. Let's just check in. Let's offer support rather than content. Like we're not here to like continue to teach them. We're here to like support them, and help them along their journey. So it changes, it varies. It's kind of an ever evolving thing. It's like raising kids. Once you think you have it figured out, like it changes. So that's what I would say about the groups. It's then for business hours, everybody's business hours look different. They do. Mine look different now in the middle of summer. Summer's been like chaos for me. They're going to look different when school starts than it did last year, simply because now all my kids are in school and they weren't last year. It looks different for everybody. So what I suggest doing is sitting down with your calendar and like mapping out when's going to work for you. I know every morning I'm up at 6 a.m. I know that I'm working on my scripture study, my personal development first. I know that I'm doing my workout second, and I know I'm checking into my groups third. That happens every single morning. This week I've been going live right after my workout every single morning. I then usually, like when life is normal, I then like shut everything down, check like computer closed, phone off, like in the other room. I go in, it's mom time. I'm making lunches, I'm getting breakfast done, I'm taking care of kids, I'm doing the dishes, I'm like, it's focus mom time. Then once they're off to school or during the summer, they're settled in whatever they're doing, I then take a chunk of time. It used to be like little cracks of time. Now it's a chunk of time. I feel like I'm more productive that way, and my kids are in a spot that I can do that. What I like to do is I start with those that are a top priority to me and then work my way down. So I'll always start with my coaches. That's where I start. I start with answering any messages that you guys have, responding to anything that you need me for, any calls that I have. I try and schedule my work hours around the call time that I've scheduled. I then move into my challengers. So I'll hop back into my group. That's usually when I will, do any type of live video in there that I need to do, check in on them, see if there's any messages from them. Or that's when I'll send them their personal messages to reconnect, to check up on, see how they're doing. I'll then move to my, sometimes, it's kind of hard. I've recently, or in the past, then I would move to the grad group. Now we're kind of like taking a different approach with that. So I'll then move into just any other messages I have in my inbox. I'll move to my page and respond to those messages, those posts. And then my extra time at the end, I will then work on any type of crafting new content, any posts that I have, any groups that we have coming up, any messages, surrounding content that I need to create, any type of newsletter, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the order that I go in. I always, I don't have my calendar with me. I'll always write down like the list in order of what I need to get done with little boxes next to it so I can check. And if I find myself getting distracted, I'll like look at my list again to like recalibrate, refocus, get back into what I'm supposed to be doing. After that, if I haven't finished what I need to do in that chunk of time, then once my time is up, I shut everything down. That's why I leave my least important to the end that I can get back to later. And then usually I will, then kids are home, homework, family time, that kind of stuff. If I have a call that night, then I will, use that hour as my call time. If we don't have a call that night, then after the kids are in bed, I'll usually take 35-40 minutes just to kind of like catch up from what I've missed and make my list for the next day. So that's kind of what my business hours look like. Am I perfect at them? No, especially this summer. I've sucked at it. Like, I've just not been good. I found myself scrolling way too often. But that's kind of what it looks like for me. And I found like the more that I can map out my hours and map out what I should be doing during my business hours, a start and a finish time, one, I feel way more productive. And two, it's exciting and it's still fun. But when I find myself just kind of like sporadically like checking here and there and answering a quick message there and doing a quick comment there, like I just feel like I'm always doing it and it's overwhelming and I just hate it. So that's kind of my take on business hours. So hopefully that's helpful. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Those are the things that Rachel asked about. You guys also mentioned business hours. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, I just need to set a timer and stick to it.
Yeah, it's huge. Like, especially in the beginning, totally set a timer. And in the beginning too, what I would do is I would give each thing an amount of time. Like now I know how long it's going to take me to move through it. But in the beginning, when it was easy to kind of like you'd finish messages and then another one would come in, you'd be like, oh, another one, like it just kind of like sucks you back in. So what I would do in the beginning is I would say, okay, in this hour, I'm going to give messages 15 minutes. I'm going to give comments in the groups 15 minutes. I'm going to give, and so literally whatever I could get done in 15 minutes. And once my timer beeped, done, move to the next. And, just being able to give it a start and an end time, it allows you to not feel guilty when it's like not done, because it's never done ever. Like my husband's always like, did you get it done? And I'm like, done enough. Like it's never done. It's like being a mom, like you're just never done, so that was really helpful in the beginning too, is to like give it a time. So
I did beginning and then I got away from it. And so now I have found myself going, I have got to get this back on track before school starts back up or I'm going to be going crazy.
Totally. Summer's hard. Summer like changes everything. So anyway, okay. I just did a lot of talking. So do you guys have any thoughts, questions? Cindy, are you so overwhelmed and like they're speaking a foreign language?
No, it's all good information. I'm sorry. I have got this horrible cough that I keep coughing, so I've had to mute myself. But no, it's all very good information. So trying to get it all in the brain and kind of absorb a little bit of it. So, it'll probably take till tomorrow to sink in, but I was really interested in the business hours and things like that too. So that all helped for sure.
Okay, good. I'm so glad. Yeah. Well,
best advice ever given for new coaches? Breathe.
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 Take a deep breath.
That's Lacey's word. Breathe. Just breathe.
Very good advice for sure.
She still tells me. I'll text her and she'll go, okay, breathe. Okay, better.
Take a deep breath real quick. I know it's a lot and overwhelming, but it's okay. So yeah, like Cindy, these are really great examples for you. Katie and Leanne have both been like, they're not too far ahead of you, but they really have hit the ground running. They've jumped in with 2 feet. And that's something else that I wish I would have done when I was a new coach, is not like try to tiptoe my way in. I wish I would have just jumped in and like failed my way forward instead of like tiptoeing my way forward. So you have great examples in front of you. You have great leaders.
Perfect.
The way for you. And we're all in the tribe. This is the tribe, and we're all in it together. So
sounds good.
Anyway, well,
great.
Thanks for being here. It was really fun to see you. It's always fun to I love all the coaches on the team, but like when I see my coaches pop up, I'm like, yay! I'm so here. So it's fun to see all you guys. I'm sending you big, huge hugs, and I just love you. So have a good night. I'm proud of you all, and let's change the world.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
All right, bye.